Hi, today is October 7th, 2023, and you are listening to the Arbitrage Weekend News. I'm your host, Darren Harper, bringing you 3 things to know for this weekend, 3 interviews talking about Popeye olive oil and yield curves, and more. First, how did the markets do this week? At Friday's close, S&P 4307, NASDAQ 13,431, and the Dow at 33,407. And the 10-year just under 4.8%. WTI crude stood around $83. Here's 3 things. 336 jobs were added in September, about twice as many as were expected. How will the Fed look at this, and will they raise interest rates as a reaction to the continued strong numbers? We will find out at the end of the month during Halloween days. Spooky. In 2024, buyers of new, used, or hybrids will get tax credits at the time of purchase. Up till now, eligible buyers have had to wait until they filed their tax returns to get any credit. The Treasury Department says the credits of qualifying new and used vehicles of $7,500 and $4,000 should help boost sales. Lastly, here are next week's important financial events. Canada, South Korea, and Japan all have holidays Monday. A lot of Fed speak, guaranteed to move markets, PPI and CPI reports, crude inventories report, and the monthly OPEC, and the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. Also look for a lot of reports and stats coming from the UK, including GDP. Trade while you sleep and across time zones with Arbitrage Trade Assist. Sign up today at arbitragetrade.com. Arbitrage Trade is your trusted source for business, finance, and tech info.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Rome. I've played many roles in television and film, but today I'm speaking as myself about a cause that's very dear to my heart. The Cancer Prevention and Treatment Fund provides free help to those who have cancer and those who wish to prevent it. They've also banned cancer-causing chemicals from our homes and neighborhoods. Your donation makes a difference because 98 cents of every dollar pays for programs and services, not fancy salaries or events. As a mom, I'm thankful that they've helped ban cancer-causing chemicals from our toddler toys and baby bottles. They continue to fight the same fight to keep these chemicals out of our playgrounds, pizza, and soda cans. Please donate today to the Cancer Prevention and Treatment Fund at stopcancerfund.com.
Hi, Caroline. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Royce.
It's a spooky October. What do you got for us today?
Spooky olive oil prices.
Ooh, that does sound spooky, almost wrong.
Because we do like to cook.
We love to cook, and olive oil is almost in almost every single one of my dishes.
Yes, right? So have you noticed prices getting more expensive?
Yes, I thought it was just, inflation, but it looks like it's outpacing inflation.
It is. Actually, the average price of olive oil in August was 130% higher than 1 year ago.
Fun. I knew I should have bought more from Costco.
Right? I know. I need to go. Maybe I should stock up for us all here.
Right.
But Spain is one of the highest producers of the olives for olive oil.
Yeah.
And their olive oil prices have now soared to $9.02 per kilogram, which marks the highest price ever recorded for Spanish olive oil. Wow,
that's insane.
So what's causing it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to know. What is causing us to get there? Why is there such a demand for olive oil suddenly, or is it?
It's not demand.
It's supply.
Supply.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So, did you know there is an International Olive Council?
No, but sounds cool. Was Popeye involved?
If only, right?
Right? Is he the chairman of the board? I need to know.
So this International Olive Council says we are facing a complex situation as a consequence of climate change, severe droughts, and the third hottest summer ever on record.
But I thought olives grew in really temperate locations.
So Spain and Italy have some of the highest olive crops, and they have had some historic droughts.
So it's not enough to.
Yeah. So Spain's climate issues have caused a drop of more than 50% in its annual average olive oil production. So
that will not do.
No. So we're not talking about a little dip. We're talking about 50% drop. And so that's why prices are going up. The reserves from last year's crop was also small. And so those reserves.
It's compounding now.
Right. So the reserves, if the crops come in October and November, so we should know kind of soon for what's coming up.
Okay.
But the estimates are not looking super great.
Uh,
And so those reserves might be all used up.
Oh, that stinks. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have any plan Bs or?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
I mean, you know, what can you do? Try to plant more olive trees?
I'm like, there's the rest of the globe. Can we outsource? Can we figure out other places to grow olives that may be able to help us?
Well, that's what I don't know. They are trying to look at that, but it's not just olives that are being affected. In Italy, they had a state of emergency surrounding one of their larger rivers, and they've had the worst drought as well. And it's now also affecting Italy's fruit crops.
Not my vino.
Right. So, you know, they've talked about cherries, peaches, nectarines, apricots, and tomatoes are all seeing large decreases.
Oh, wow.
In those crops. Again, because of climate change.
All right. We need to pay attention to this more. And if you guys want to learn more about this, please go to our blog at arbitragetrade.com/blog. Thank you again, Caroline.
Stock up on that olive oil now.
Yes, I need another martini, please.
I had a pretty normal mom life. Everything was pretty good, and it was a very happy life.
And we just had a new baby. And then all of a sudden, within a day or two, she's on life support and fighting for her life.
They told me my only chance was a heart transplant.
And the American Heart Association helped make that possible. Their research helped save me.
The American Heart Association funds research that leads to medical breakthroughs, trains people in CPR, and certifies hospitals to provide the best care for people who've had a heart attack or stroke.
I am very thankful for the American Heart Association.
One simple act today can save your life or the life of a loved one.
Heart disease is the #1 killer in America. To learn more about how the American Heart Association is saving lives, go to helpheart.org.
This week's winner and loser. The loser is Hannon Armstrong Sustainable Infrastructure Capital, or HASI. Focused on climate initiatives, HASI partners with clients to deploy real assets that facilitate the energy transition. Some analysts have said this week that the stock is oversold. It is based in Annapolis, Maryland. Its closing price Friday was $14.42, 52-week high of $39.67, and a low of $13.22. It began the week just over $21 and ended mid-14s after falling to its 52-week low of $13.22. And the winner, NewScale Power Corporation, or SMR. Recent news about SMR includes Japan's Chubu Electric buying a stake. Chubu's Global Business Division CEO said, "The small modular reactor is an emission-free power source, and it is important to secure all management options that are essential for future decarbonized electricity sources." Standard Power also plans to develop 2 small modular reactor-powered facilities and will work with NewScale. Closing price on Friday was $5.75, 52-week high of $12.36, and a low of $4.47.
Every family has their challenges, their issues, their baggage. You can't always see it.
I haven't slept in months. I have one that won't sleep and one that won't stay in bed.
We sometimes try to hide it.
My son is so disrespectful. I can't relate to him anymore.
And eventually, it gets out of control.
We know she's vaping, drinking, her grades are slipping. She stays out all night.
But we don't have to face these challenges alone. Visit boystown.org/parenting for valuable guides, downloadable parenting tools, and expert advice. If you need immediate help, call the trained counselors at the Boys Town National Hotline. Whether the baggage is big or small, Boys Town can help lighten the load so you can get back to the things that matter. For any age, any stage, Boys Town.
Hey, Darren.
Hey, Royce.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Do you like cartoons?
I grew up watching cartoons on Saturdays. They don't do that anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, Saturday morning cartoons were the best. I recently saw, because I was reading Caroline's article, and there's basically the price of olive oil is going up, which led me to think about cartoons this week. And you can't get more iconic than Popeye in olive oil, right?
Not at all. Not at all. That's my childhood right there.
He is 90. The comic strip itself is over 94 years old.
94. Let's see, that puts it about 1930-ish.
Yeah, so 1929 is when it basically came out. Right?
Right.
And I'm just like, holy, okay, that's cool. And then there's some iconic characters that you just can't ignore. Right?
That's true. That's true. Let's see what you got. Bluto.
Yep, who was Brutus. Later, same guy.
There's so many things in society that I felt came from Popeye, but I'm sure that's not it.
Oh, yeah. Like,
it's just, like I'm going to open up a can of whoop ass on you, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It was like, hey, no, just get a can of spinach. Like literally to this day, the main way I get my son Oliver to eat spinach, I'm like, all right, do you want to be like Popeye or,
He said who?
No, he's like, yeah, because, they made cartoons. There've been so many spinoffs like Popeye and Son, the Wimpy's Burger franchise.
That's true. Oh,
yeah.
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for
a hamburger.
A hamburger. That's, hey, we can throw in some financial stuff there.
Yeah.
Like when the hedge funds.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Gladly pay you
options.
For a share today that they will
reason?
repay in a year.
Is he the reason we have options? I'm not liking this guy anymore. I'm definitely not liking him,
What is it? Securities paid but not yet.
Yeah.
There's a line in the P&L. Anyway,
but we
had to throw finance in there somewhere, Royce.
For sure. And then there's Sweet Pea, right? Their baby.
Sweet Pea, yes.
Did you know that's not even their baby?
Oh, whose is it?
Apparently, it was left on their doorstep.
Oh, a stork. Okay.
Yeah. And they decided to adopt it.
Nice. I was adopted.
Yeah, see?
I appreciate that.
Right. Hey, adoption is always a good option.
More respect.
Yeah, right.
But I always thought it was the government's way of going through Popeye to try to get people to eat their veggies, because
that's how I ate mine.
There's olive oil. There's he says, I am what I am.
There is.
I'm not he eats spinach, and then there's Sweet Pea.
All right. Well, all right, fine. Explain the phrase, well, blow me down.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't explain that one.
I can't even do something cute about that.
No. He was, I did find out that his name was based off something in the Navy. It was apparently a vehicle in 1929 called the Popeye Jeep. And
one of my favorite vehicles, but I had no idea that there was a Popeye Jeep.
Yeah, you clearly see his Navy tattoos.
They should come out with a Popeye Jeep.
And maybe at the centennial, when he turns 100, bring back those Popeye Jeeps.
A bunch of us old guys will buy it.
Hey, you never know. Hey, nostalgia still rules, man.
It does. What's old is new, right?
All over again. If you guys want to learn more about this, go read our blog at www.arbitragetrade.com/blog. Thank you again, Darren, for being here. And I hope you guys have learned just a little bit more about Popeye the Sailor Man.
Thanks, Royce.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy. You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year. At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local I can send you with a link.
Okay. Smart.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Financial Deep Dive with Daniel, and I'm your host, Darren. That's a lot of D's. The subject today is yield curve inversions. That sounds like theory when I was doing music, and that's when I stopped doing music, when I got to the theory part. This weekend, we're talking about yield curve inversions, and something that we've been dealing with, I think it's since March of last year, and that's like 17 months, right, Daniel?
Yes, this is one of the longest yield curve inversions that we've seen when looking at the data from the St. Louis Fed.
Right. So they've been talking about it on mainstream media for that long and saying that it's a precursor to recession. And then the administration tried to redefine what recession was, I believe. So it's just been a topic that has just been nonstop since the beginning of last year. I do have a couple of questions, though, for you. How much volatility does this put in the market, having these yield curve inversions?
Well, so when the yield curve is inverted already, it's not too big of a deal. It can be, but we don't normally see them last this long. Now, what is really important and creates the volatility in the market is when the yield curve not reinverts, but goes back to normal. When it goes back to normal, it goes above its inversion. So you go back to a normal yield of short term being lower than long term. It typically skyrockets up. And so the spread between the two get exacerbated. And what this does is it actually causes an initial bump in the stock market a little bit, but then typically you see a fall after. But what really happens is you see an extraordinary rise in bonds because the yields drop so much, which results in the price going up. You can think about it like a seesaw. And so when that happens, the bond market explodes for a little bit. And that's where the real money opportunity is that a lot of institutional investors take advantage of.
Well, and if they're taking advantage of it, then so should we, right?
Exactly.
I think the one that I always hear is the 2-10s, right? The 2-year, 10-year.
Yep.
But I mean, we're talking about anything from a year, like T-bills, or a year all the way up to 30 years is kind of the range we look at.
Yep, exactly. So most people look at the 2-year, 10-year. You can look at the 30-year with the 3-month against the 10-year, 2-year against the 30-year. The big ones that are currently being looked at are the 2-year, 10-year and the 3-month T-bills and the 10-year, both of which are very inverted, but are showing signs of coming back currently, which means, within a few months to a year, when recessions do happen after yield curve inversion, that's when they normally start to show in the market. And that's where the opportunity for stocks lies.
We do very well with the foreign exchange here. And so that's always something we would recommend. But right now, would it be cash or equities you would look at?
For the time being, I would stay in cash. And as things continue to move, you'll see, like you were saying, the volatility in the market, which Royce talks about every week on his weekly webinar. When you start to see volatility move, that's when it could be interesting to take money off the sideline.
That's very good. Thanks for kind of clearing some things up for me and for our listeners. And we will see you next week.
Have a good weekend, Darren.
Thanks, Daniel.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, take your shot.
Because of you,
we are happy and we know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please go to loveshriners.org right away.
I got the Waterslide blues. In case you weren't familiar with the infamous hot coffee McDonald's case, it occurred in 1994 and is often cited as a frivolous lawsuit. But given all of the facts, was it truly a frivolous lawsuit? A 79-year-old woman spilled McDonald's coffee on herself in February of 1992. In the process of opening a cup of coffee in a parked car, in order to add cream and sugar, she spilled the entire cup on her lap. She went into shock and had to be hospitalized for 8 days due to the severity of her burns. 6% of her skin had third-degree burns and 16% of her body had lesser burns. Following her hospitalization, she required 3 weeks of care and was partially disabled for 2 years following the incident. Does that sound frivolous? Or like McDonald's was heating its coffee well beyond acceptable temperatures for a drive-through drink? The woman's lawyer believes that the media coverage of the incident portrayed a serious event as a frivolous lawsuit due to political and corporate influence. But that was in no way what actually happened. Much like the lawsuit against Disney today, in October of 2019, a woman sustained injuries at the Typhoon Lagoon water park and is suing Disney for the injuries she sustained. As she went down the water slide, her one-piece swimsuit slid up and water was forced inside her. The woman had to be hospitalized and was ultimately transferred from a local hospital to another one for a repair of her injuries. She became airborne close to the end of the slide and was slammed downward against it, making it likely that her legs would have come uncrossed even if she had crossed them at the beginning of the ride. Doesn't sound as funny when the extent of the injuries is described, does it? This may be the next big case of a non-frivolous lawsuit being described as a frivolous issue for both political and corporate-driven reasons. Whether or not the family stands a chance at winning the lawsuit remains to be seen, but it is hopeful as the woman in the hot coffee case won her lawsuit. Arbitrage is your source for business, finance, and tech info. Thank you for joining us today for another edition of Arbitrage Weekend News. You can always find us at arbitragetrade.com and all social media platforms. Enjoy your weekend. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is a privately held research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the contents of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to function as investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC, please visit arbitragetrade.com.